Well, hola, compañeros. It's your old pal, King Washpinator. Welcome back to Total Party Skills. Hit like and subscribe. Now, the audience that's my age and older might be aware of some of these shows and films I'm going to recommend, but this video is kind of intended, like a lot of my Spelljammer videos, for some of the more younger DMs who are coming in their own and are trying to orient themselves to what exactly is Spelljammer? What would be good inspirational material for it? Now, obviously, you have the obvious ones, which I'm not really going to talk too much about. Obviously, the Lighter Xerxes claims to be, loosely based on Flash Gordon. You have that Neil Gaiman movie Stardust, for flying ships and that kind of stuff. That's not a bad choice. Um, there was another one. Oh yeah, of course. Disney's Treasure Planet is another one that clearly that's something you can derive a lot of imagery that goes along with Spelljammer and all that. But I'm going to talk about a few older things that some of the younger people out there on YouTube might not have encountered. So with those honorable mentions out of the way, I'm going to list off two films and one TV series. The TV series I'm going to put as the top choice. I'll get to that at the last. We'll start off with the cartoon, and I will recommend Heavy Metal 2000. Gives you a bunch of different alien environments. It has both a heavily sci-fi quality to it, and yet there's also supernatural menace and some fantasy elements that go along with it. And being that it was written, directed, and a lot of the animation style is based upon the artwork of Peter Laird of Ninja Turtles fame, I've always found it to be a slightly more consistent movie than the original Heavy Metal animated film, although I know that movie obviously has its fan base who prefer it over Heavy Metal 2000. But if I were to choose between the two to recommend, I'll go with Heavy Metal 2000. Next up, the live action movie I would probably put forward as being something that's a good inspiration for Spelljammer. That's a little out of the box. I would queuing off the Flash Gordon thing, I would say go a little bit further back in time from old Dino De Laurentiis and check out Barbarella. It's sexy. It's got just like a lot of imagery that the people who originally wrote Spelljammer in the first place were probably drawing from. Lots of alien environments. It has strong fantasy elements, interesting villains and scenarios and other things that you could sprinkle into your Spelljammer if you wanted to make it a little bit more kind of racy and sexy. But the final thing I'm going to mention as a TV series. It ran on the Sci-Fi Network. I believe it originally was a Canadian Broadcasting Corporation production, at least for the original miniseries, and it had several seasons on the Sci-Fi Network. At least that's how I originally encountered it, and that would be Lex, spelled Lexx. It's more sci-fi than fantasy, but once again has heavy sci-fi elements. The thing that I like about it is that there's a lot of creepy weirdness going on. Like some of the main villains are like brains in jars kind of stuff. If you were to want to sprinkle a little bit of the Ravenloft stuff into a Spelljammer, Lex is a good visual basis to kind of wrap your mind around what that would look like. But maybe the primary thing about it that I think applies to Spelljammer is that in many ways Spelljammer is kind of unfairly typecast as being, sailing ships in space, a la Treasure Planet. There's a couple of the ship designs are just regular, terrestrial watercraft that have been, empowered to fly through the stars and all that kind of stuff. But, the bulk of the original Spelljammer ship designs are typically based off sea life, the hammerhead ships, the squid ships and all that. Or more particularly, and as applies to Lex, insect designs. A lot of the spaceships in Lex, including the primary ship of the crew, are giant living insect spacecraft. And that applies to your wasps, the phase spider ships that the Neogi use, like all that kind of stuff. Lex is really good for that. Also, like Barbarella, it's a little racy at times. If you're playing with a more adult audience, it's not bad fodder to get your brain juices a flowing amongst others. So I'll just leave it at that. 3 recommendations. I believe you can find them all on Amazon. You might have to pay them for them. You might not. Depends on what kind of subscriptions you got set up. But all of them give you a bit more of a sci-fi fantasy as opposed to a fantasy sci-fi take on the kind of adventures and setting and presentation and set dressing that you can use in your Spelljammer campaigns. And so that's it. Hit all the buttons. Check out the link below to see what kind of stuff I got for sale on Drive-Thru RPG. And until next time, stay out there.